Mixed martial arts is by definition a sport of variety. There are many styles and training disciplines to choose from and mix together, and there's no one style that makes a perfect fighter, let alone a champion. Though there are differences, most fight fans and analysts can agree that the diversity, pairing style against style, is a big part of the thrill of watching combat sports. In the case of Surinamese heavyweight mixed martial artist Jairzinho Rozenstruik, one word springs to mind to describe his unique style: power. Sheer power. Rozenstruik is a highly successful former kickboxer with an incredible professional MMA record of 11-1, who holds the distinction of second fastest knockout in the UFC heavyweight division at 9 seconds against Alan Crowder. In a division full of big names and mixed abilities, Rozenstruik doesn't always stand out based on his fighting style, but with such a record, you can't ignore him. You can only investigate what makes him tick, where his weaknesses lie, and what we might see from him in the future. Like, share, and subscribe to the Ultimate Fighting Network as we find out how good Jairzinho Rozenstruik actually is. Jairzinho Rozenstruik was born and raised in Paramaribo, Suriname. Even from a young age, he was always an athlete, playing both football and basketball until he took up kickboxing, training at a local gym at age 17. A passionate student of the sport, Rozenstruik managed to have a well-regarded career as a kickboxer, winning 76 of his 85 matches and gaining awards and recognitions for his efforts. His latter active years from August 2013 to 2017 were particularly successful and saw him undefeated, as well as earning championships in various organizations. In 2012, Rozenstruik started training in martial arts, specifically Muay Thai, but it would be a handful of years before he officially and regularly started competing as a mixed martial artist, initially fighting under the Rizin Fighting Federation banner throughout 2018. In 2019, he signed with the UFC and immediately made a splash, winning his debut match against Junior Albini with a second-round technical knockout. His very next bout against Alan Crowder earned him the record for the second fastest knockout in the division. No small feat. More recently, Rozenstruik has distinguished himself in more high-profile fights against big names in the division. A real dream come true.
Like, does this all make sense to you, or does it feel like a dream the past year that you've had?
It makes a lot of sense, and it feels like a dream. So yeah, I saw those fighters from the game, PlayStation, and now I'm competing in the heavyweight division. It's like I'm living in a movie, but I'm just walking the journey.
As his career progressed and his victories, and only defeats so far, have added to his resume, fight fans and pundits would come to learn that powerful knockouts would be a pattern for Rozenstruik's fights. His greatest strength, some might say. But with any great strength comes an opportunity for weakness. Power is the word that comes up most often associated with Jairzinho Rozenstruik, but that's not surprising when you consider that Rozenstruik is a big guy at 6'2" and 248 pounds, with a reach of 78 inches.
One thing about him, Rozenstruik, I'm gonna condescend to you as though you just don't know who he is. One thing about him is if he hits you in the face, you go to sleep.
Thanks to his background as a kickboxer, Rozenstruik is a classic striker with a nearly impeccable stand-up game. He's extremely strong, and he has the ability to deal absolutely crushing blows that cause real damage to his opponents. The infamous injury to Alistair Overeem's lip after their 2019 match is a prime example of the sheer power in Rozenstruik's hands. Defensively, one of Rozenstruik's greatest assets is his ability to take punishment. Rozenstruik has an amazing chin and absorbs incredible amounts of damage without flinching. This is to his benefit, of course, but also has the advantage of demoralizing his opponents when their strikes seem futile against his onslaught. Rozenstruik is a classic stand-up fighter, paired with the knockout strength of a powerhouse, which is to say his fights don't often go the distance. And in fact, going the distance is not necessarily in his favor. According to online stats, Rozenstruik's work rate is quite low, and he tends to pace himself. He saves his power for a few truly devastating hits, which may cause a knockout, but don't look as impressive on a scorecard compared to punches and bunches. It could be said that Rozenstruik is a consummate power puncher. He doesn't really put effort into controlling the distance, preferring to follow his opponent's lead. And he doesn't seem to bother with applying pressure, he just looks for that perfect knockout opportunity. The kicker is, if he finds it, 9 times out of 10, you're done. If Rozenstruik has one real flaw in his game, it's on the ground. His takedown accuracy is very, very low, and in wrestling or grappling situations, he often seems lost. This is not unexpected for a fighter like him, who has a strong kickboxing and Muay Thai background. It's likely that he will always be more comfortable in stand-up situations. This is not to say he couldn't train a stronger ground game, but right now, it's truly his greatest weakness. The current UFC heavyweight division is full of some very interesting styles. There are a handful of power punchers, some truly quick and accurate fighters, and all kinds in between. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is one of the best examples of a true powerhouse in his division, and arguably in the organization overall. Some fighters manage to make a whole career, and a successful one at that, out of their strength. Rozenstruik is well on his way to that goal with an astounding record and a great training background behind him. But weaknesses are there to remind us that we always have more to learn. And if Rozenstruik wants to climb the rankings of the UFC in combat sport history, he'll have to reckon with that. How good is Jairzinho Rozenstruik? If he pushes through, trains in the ground game, and leans into his powerhouse persona, he could truly become a force that is nearly impossible to defeat. What do you think of Jairzinho Rozenstruik? How good is he? Comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching the Ultimate Fighting Network.